Evolution channel. This is your pal Earball. I'm going to give you a Down the Ramp today, episode number 5. I'm going to talk about the upcoming WrestleMania 34, and some other tidbits that I want to get off my chest pertaining to certain events that have been leaked online. And apparently, we'll get right into it. Rusev asked for his release a few weeks ago because he wasn't happy with creative. I personally don't blame Rusev because the guy is over. He's one of the top, most popular wrestlers in all of the WWE. The guy has awesome amount of charisma, and he's a very athletic, big guy that I don't know what management has done to be pissed off at him. Why? Because the guy got married and screwed up one of your stupid angles because he is in love with someone who he's been with for a long time, who happens to also work in the company, and he wanted to get married for real? Like, I'm sorry, but that's none of the WWE's fucking business. You know? Whether they both work for the company or not. And to penalize him because of that is you're just a bunch of jerk-offs. And I totally believe that WWE Creative, and at least on the creative team that handles SmackDown and Raw, are jerk-offs. I'd fire every single one of them. I don't care how long they've been with the company, whose ass they kiss, if they're family members or not, because the product has gone so far downhill that it's a fucking disgrace. It's a disgrace to everyone who's then, now, and forever, like they promote every beginning of the intro to Raw, of the clients or customers, or whatever you want to say, the fans that have watched WWE for all these decades and generations. It's a fucking disgrace. Alright? You know, Trump says everything is a disgrace. Well, I'm going to drop the F-bomb in front of it and call it a fucking disgrace. I don't care if I get demonetized, because I'm not monetized anyway. Because YouTube sucks cock. And the guy is super talented. You should have gave him the WWE title instead of Jinder Mahal. Because Jinder Mahal, yeah, he's improved. But you wanted a big heel, especially a foreign heel, to be champion at that particular time. Why not Rusev? Has he not been with the company long enough? Or has he just, rubbed you the wrong way and not kissed enough ass in the back? Because I'll tell you what, on Total Divas, he's one of the attractions to the show. Actually, what's funny is the divas aren't the attraction. Yeah, people want to see skimpy clothed women, hot, skimpily clothed women make fools of themselves. But guess what? The best things going on Total Divas are John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and Rusev. The freaking guys. Even Jimmy Uso. And when they bring Dolph Ziggler in there here and there. Like, the guys shine. And the girls suck. It's just horrible, fake ass acting. It's terrible. You could tell they're putting on the friggin' cream on the top because nothing's real. These little fake spats they get into, it's all bullshit. These girls are like sisters, family members. Yeah, they might bitch at each other, but they don't really fight. You guys are like a traveling circus. You're like family. So the show doesn't work that way, but the guys shine on the damn show because we get to see the men in a different light, and it's really, really good for the show. Rusev, he's done everything he's could to get over, even when you don't want him to get over. That his merchandise sales are now number 1 or number 2 in the company. Like, he's fighting against guys like AJ Styles, who's got 20 years in the business, for merch sales. Like, that's insane. That you push a guy like that. You don't push him down, you push him up. You jump on that horse and you ride him. Sky's the limit for Rusev because he's only getting better, not worse. He's, 5 years in WWE now? He's improved every year? Yeah, he's had a really long run as U.S. champion, but he has been Intercontinental Champion, hasn't been in legitimate matches for him to have a chance to win the world title. He might have been in a couple matches, but he wasn't, no one had him on the radar. Right now, you could legitimately put him in a match with AJ and Shinsuke, and people would want to see Rusev win the world title. Alright? Hell, you could even put him for the Universal title, and he'd be more over than Brock or Roman at this point. Shows a lot of the creative, mentality of the creative department for WWE, that they can't see this, or they do and they just don't care. So there's some other podcasters out there that have been friggin' flipping out about this, and I'm usually on the side of WWE knows what they're doing. Vince McMahon's a genius. Vince doesn't control everything, though. There, guys like the Road Dogg and Triple H. Now, I wouldn't blame Triple H or Rusev, because I heard that he's one of Rusev's fans, and it wouldn't surprise me because Rusev is part of the NXT crowd, and if this is a sabotage by some of the other guys of the older mid-card wrestlers that really never made it big when they were, in the prime of their life on the roster, that are now in the back, behind the scenes, doing creative, Mr. Freebird himself, and Armstrong, and Road Dogg, and yeah, these are guys we all know. They were part of the mid-card and tag team, eras of the past. But they were not big main event stars. Sorry, you weren't. And that's okay, because there's stars that are meant to be in the mid-card for life. But they make the show go around. Like The Miz, he can get into the fight for the world title, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is a world champion again. But Miz is mostly mid-card guy, mid-card status for life. And that's okay, because he knocks it dead. His mic skills are second to none in the company. And his matches aren't garbage. He's got a specific skill set, and he shines. Because he's The Miz, and he's awesome. No, but I love The Miz. Miz is great. Miz is not get off my TV stuff as some other, YouTube personality tend to say. So this is heartbreaking for me. Rusev's one of my top 5 guys in the company that should be being pushed in main event. Whether he's featured as the heel or the face, I wouldn't give a shit. Put him in matches for the world title or universal title or even the Intercontinental belt, and it'd be perfectly fine. I think even though he could possibly win the U.S. title at WrestleMania 34, he's above the U.S. title. He should be, higher than that belt. That belt's a mid-card belt, and Rusev's not a mid-card guy anymore. He's upper mid, into world title contention, main event status. And if you don't believe me, listen to the fucking crowd screaming Rusev Day. He could be a main eventer. He's talented enough. He's got enough charisma. Why not? Why not Rusev? You could have did the fucking Russian heel shtick still, and he could have been the angry heel champion other than Jinder. But we know why they gave it to Jinder, because Jinder got that Hulk body in the span of 2 years, and they were trying to promote India real hard, because the WWE Network was moving into India, and the international scene is becoming another way for WWE to generate revenue. It's totally understandable, but hell, even if anything, you could have had him feud, instead of with Randy Orton, you could have had Jinder feuding with a babyface Rusev, screaming Rusev Day. At least then he'd be in the world title match and have a 3 or 6 month stint in fighting for the title and chasing the title, which we all know babyfaces chase titles all the time. Do they get them? Sometimes. Sometimes they don't. And even when they do get them, their reigns are short. Sometimes they're really short. A couple days, couple weeks, maybe a month. But at least they get that, breath of fresh air under their belt saying, I achieved the mountaintop and got the title. Because that's all Rusev's probably after at this point. He's been a U.S. title holder twice. He had a year reign, his first reign? He went undefeated for like a year plus. I mean, give the fucking guy a real push past the mid-card, for God's sakes. And train his wife to wrestle better, because she's gorgeous. She deserves to be on TV. She's talented. She's green in the ring. But we know this. But she's still better than Eva Marie. God. I'll take Lana at this green over Eva Marie, who had more years training than her. I mean, just terrible situation. I really feel bad for Rusev. And if he does leave the company, he'll shine in Ring of Honor or New Japan. He'll be a champion over there. But it'll be a shame that we won't be able to see him on TV unless you get Ring of Honor or New Japan on your TV. So, some other stuff I wanted to get on is the fact that the Moolah Battle Royal was canceled, and now they just call it the Women's Battle Royal. And, you know, Michael Cole, the robot, who can't think for himself, being told by Vince or whoever's screaming in the microphone to call it the first ever Women's Battle Royal. There's been Women's Battle Royals at WrestleMania before. It's not the first ever. So, stop trying to make your fans look like fucking idiots. It's not the first ever. And if anything, if you can't call it Moolah, why not call it Trish's Battle Royal? What's wrong with using Trish Stratus? Why? Because she didn't have 3 or 4 decades in the company or professional wrestling like Moolah did? You know, Trish might only had 7 years, but those 7 years were amazing, and she really proved herself as more than a pretty face. People love that woman. She is beloved as a legend. I mean, I, for one, would love one more match out of her. Kind of like what Goldberg did last year. I've even tweeted it out to her saying, you know, I understand she's got babies, you know, young kids, but I think it'd be cool for them to see their mommy in the ring one more time. Live. Because how cool would that be? Maybe in the next couple years we see that, and I will be stoked. It doesn't have to be for a title like Goldberg, but, you know, one feud against one young wrestler. And the reason it's good against someone who's young and active is they help the legend get carried a little bit. Not saying that she can't do it, because we saw in the Rumble, she still got it because she keeps her body fit. We know she does her yoga and stuff, but she needs to be able to help her, have someone help carry her through the 15, 20-minute match, whatever they give it, 10-minute, 15-minute, just a little bit, just so that it doesn't lose pace and they don't do a bunch of resting. You know, you want it to make sense. And then you got things that I've been checking out by going back and watching Trish matches, especially when she retired and stuff. We actually got cheated as fans at Trish, I think. I think we could have got more years out of her, at least 3 more years. The WWE was transitioning to this, like, PC era BS. Because back then in 2006 when Trish retired, you still had, you know, John Cena doing the same move he does now as his finisher. The Attitude Adjustment was called the FU. You had the Rated R Superstar, you know, those two guys at the top of the mountain back then in 2006. And you had Trish and Lita in the women's division. And within a few short years, you got John Cena left, and he changed his shtick to go PC like the company wanted because he's a company man. But I'm thinking because they wanted to push the word diva, because I heard the word being used by the announce team, but they still had it called the women's division and stuff like that. I have a feeling that it was insulting to some of the women wrestlers back then, because if you look at who was on the roster around that time, it was Trish, Lita, Mickie James. Mickie was out of the WWE for pretty much the entire Divas time that the Divas division existed. Trish retired, Lita retired. Who else was left? Jackie, I think, had left. Molly Holly. There's a couple other women. All the women that were in the WWE from the late 90s into the early 2000s, say 2005-ish, with the exception of maybe even Beth Phoenix, but I know Beth Phoenix wound up leaving too. I think they were insulted about the WWE wanting to call their women divas. They didn't there wasn't social media back then like there is now. But I just have a feeling in the back, and it probably never got leaked because they kept it on the down low, that these women left the company or retired early because of that. it wouldn't shock me that they were on the backside insulted that they were going to be called divas instead of just having the women's division. That Vince or Kevin Dunn, because fuck Kevin Dunn, I don't care how long he's got in the business, bucktooth faggot. Calling the women divas, that is insulting. It's demeaning. It's sexist. I'm not saying that as some sort of cockled or anything like that. If they were called women for decades upon decades, women wrestlers, and then you wanted to call them divas instead, just like the TNA wanted to call them not. Why are you stereotyping them a different word? You know, like it didn't make any sense. They already Trish, fucking gorgeous woman. Why would you want to call her a diva? Just because she's hot and she can't wrestle? No, she could wrestle, and she was hot. You know, I mean, and she started out very green and eventually grew into full-blown, kick-ass, in-ring performer. And as much of a genius as Vince McMahon is, there's a lot of things he throws at the business that are shit. And that was a huge mistake. And I actually want to thank Stephanie for pushing the changes to the women's division and saying that there's a worldwide women's revolution, putting women in more prominent roles and stuff like that all over the world, that WWE needs to shed this diva title for the sheer fact of, oh, we got a show called Total Divas, so let's call our women divas. You didn't need to. You could call it Total Divas, but because that's a catchy name for TV for your show, but you should have left them women instead of insulting them. I mean, I'm glad for the young women that are now in the women's division today and are not going to be called divas no more. You know, I just wish that some of them wouldn't get the stigma that, oh, like poor Paige, she was two-time Divas champion, as Michael Cole likes to say, instead of just calling her two-time women's champion. She couldn't, you know, the women who were winning that Divas title, it was what they were calling it, but they could easily, they like to change the past and make us forget certain things all the time. The stupid butterfly title, scrap it. It was the women's title at the time. It was called the Divas Championship, but it was the women's title. Call them women champions. Stop saying Divas Championship. It's fucking demeaning. It's ridiculous. So, that's my thought about that we might have lost some years of really good matches. I know with Lita, there's a little bit more to it with the injuries, and there's rumors that Trish wanted to be a mama. She wasn't a mama for a few more years, though. She wasn't pregnant with her first child until she got inducted to the Hall of Fame, which I don't think until was like 5 years later, if I can remember. So, you know, I know she did get married within that same year, I believe, as she retired. But I just think we lost a good 3 more years out of Trish. I think we could have got a full decade out of Trish Stratus, and that wouldn't have been horrible because she was at the top of her game. And I still think, you know, she says it's good to go out, and she was quoted on this, good to go out at, you know, leaving at the top of the mountain and at the peak of your career is a good thing. You know, you've achieved everything, there's nothing else to achieve. Well, I agree with that, but I still think in 3 years from 2006 to 2009, she still would have been at that particular point in her career, and she wouldn't have lost a step, but she would have been fine. So I'm gonna say my guess is that whole transition to the Divas thing really, really took a bunch of those women away from us early. Yes, it brought attention to new starlets. You know, the Bella Twins came into the business around a year later, or a year and a half later. Some of the other, you know, Alicia Fox and the girls, Natty, you know, the girls have been in the company 10 years now that are still in the division today. And then the other women who have now been added. So there is plenty of talent now that we don't need, you know, the senior women to be still around. Even though a bunch of them we know can still perform, and we miss them. I miss Beth Phoenix. I thought, you know, the Glamazon was really good. I'm not so much about for their looks. I'm more about the performance in the ring. It's great to see a pretty face on top of super athletic ability, but I care less what they look like. I care about what the performance in the ring is and whether or not it makes sense for me to waste 2 or 3 hours a night watching the fucking show. And sorry for my fruity language, but I'm going to talk the way I want to talk on YouTube from now on. I'll put my disclaimer up in the comments and give two shits because I need to make an impact too to get my channel actually up to where it should be, because I think I divulge a lot of good ideas and content here that people should be listening to. And if you don't agree with me, write a comment and I'll be sure to get back to you on it. What else to talk about down the ramp here? Well, we talked about Rusev. We talked about some of the women's stuff. Oh, Mixed Match Challenge. The Asuka Miz final match against Bobby Roode and Charlotte. How come those shows were not also televised? Those matches, I mean. Those matches were better and more entertaining than some of the shit we've been getting on Raw and SmackDown. Just saying. I know they're trying to promote the Facebook Live thing, but still. Why couldn't they, at least give us highlights the week after or something? I don't fucking know. It's just... I want to see Asuka lose at this point because they're literally putting creative in this corner of she's got to win to keep the streak going. I want the streak going because otherwise we're going to know that Asuka's going to continue to keep winning and these matches are going to be very, very predictable. Just get the loss out of the way. At this point, I actually want Charlotte to win. I would have also done things differently if I was Charlotte. I would have attacked Asuka. Or given her like a dirty look, like I'm gonna, like you like a look of I'm rising up to this challenge. I understand that Asuka's undefeated and she's probably the most dangerous thing to my title reign in all the years I've been in the WWE as NXT's Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion, whatever Women's Champion I've been. This is the biggest threat to my reign as Queen. So. I think that's where they should have went with that, but they didn't. They went with the typical, let's just, stare at the stupid sign and just kind of have a bunch of silence, so, anyway. I don't know. I don't know where to take this other than I want to see Charlotte win. I know she's probably not going to win. Because there's a lot of rumors going around, and there's a lot of wet dreams by some other podcasters and other smart mark wrestling fans that want to see Asuka go undefeated and then face Ronda Rousey next year's WrestleMania. So you're telling us we have to deal with another year of this undefeated shit? I'm done with it. She doesn't need to be undefeated throughout her career in professional wrestling to be good. They don't need that. So... Another thing I want to talk about is this rumor that I've read and also watched on other podcasts that Daniel Bryan or Shane McMahon, one of them is turning heel on Sunday. If it's Daniel Bryan, they're doing that to lower his pops to get fucking Roman over more or to be the biggest pop. But guess what? Even if you take Daniel Bryan away from us, Rusev gets better pops than Roman does. So fuck you, WWE. Screw you with this Roman shit. Just turn Roman heel. Roman has the physique and the look to be evil. You've taken away The Undertaker 5 years now. He only comes out on his due for WrestleManias. So you want Big Evil on TV. Give us a Big Evil in a new type of era of Roman Reigns. Give us bad Roman. He would be fine at it. And if you don't want him to talk too much, give him Heyman as his confidant, considering that Brock's going away. But no, they got this wet dreamer. Oh, here's our baby face, our company man. I'm beyond tired of it. Tired of the Roman experiment. It's a failed experiment. It's been failed forever. I don't hate Roman. Roman is talented. He's a good performer. He's a good company corporate guy that does everything he's asked. His matches are perfectly fine. I just hate him on the mic, and I hate that he's being pushed the way he's pushed. I know I've never been in the business, but I've been watching it since I'm 8 years old. 32 years watching this shit. I know what works and what doesn't after seeing everything that's been done throughout WWF, WWE, WCW, the NWA, ECW. I know what works and what doesn't work. And I'll tell you one thing. Paul Heyman, when he ran ECW, if something shit the bed, he killed it hella quick. And didn't continue to do it. Just for the sheer fact of insanity. Okay? I think if Shane goes heel on Daniel Bryan, that's more of a possibility. It makes a little more sense. But here's the thing. Shane needs surgery from what I've read. So him turning heel would be pointless. And why would you turn him heel after the long month stint he had? You have him turn on Daniel Bryan to side with the guys he's been screwing over for the last 4 months. I could see him turning on Daniel Bryan if it's just to turn on Daniel Bryan for Daniel not listening to him with Zayn and Owens. But if he sides with them, that's a mistake. It's totally a mistake. And it's a dumb swerve. I'm sorry. I think it's stupid. But it won't do me any favors, considering I'm not too much of a fan of him doing in-ring performances anymore anyway. I'm tired of the spot monkey. I want somebody else on TV. You know, there's tons of fucking talent in this company that are not Vince's offspring that should be in the ring and on the TV. You know? Yeah, Shane's got a part in the company. Yeah, it's called be creative, be the boss, take over for daddy. You know, that's your part in the company. Get out of the ring. You know, please. We know you can perform, but your time is past. What are you, pushing 50? You know, why does everybody got to push 50, 60 years old in this business to get the fuck out of the ring? You know, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan stayed way past their time. The smartest person I've seen is both The Undertaker, because he only comes out for WrestleMania, knowing he's getting too old for the damn shit. His body's broken down. He can't perform like he used to, and I'm sure it bothers him. And Sting. Sting said, you know what? I'm too old for this shit. I'm retiring. Even though people wanted to see him versus Undertaker so bad. It wouldn't be good because they waited too long for the match. We all have this wet dream. Sting versus Undertaker, because they both were key or cornerstone guys in their two companies for 20-something years. But they're way past their prime. It only worked. It's like when Ric Flair retired. Who carried him in the match? Shawn Michaels, who was in his prime still. And Shawn Michaels is a goddamn awesome performer. You know? So, you need that kind of balance. If you're going to have an old guy in the ring, or an old woman, a legend in the ring, the other person in the ring needs to be somebody of the full-time talent that's in their prime that can carry them. I'm not saying that they're carrying them all the way, that the other person can't perform, but they can't do it like they did years ago. It's like when Hogan was in the fucking ring doing his leg drops and big boots. I loved Hogan. I grew up on Hulk Hogan. But he was a shadow of himself. Too many knee injuries and surgeries and back surgeries and hip problems. And same thing with Taker, you know. Enough's enough. They shouldn't even be having him. I know Cena's going to help carry him when they have this match, but they shouldn't even bring him out. The way Undertaker went out in WrestleMania 33, him taking off his garb and laying it on the mat, and 70,000 fans on their feet, and a lot of them crying because it's over. That's the way we should remember The Undertaker. They're doing a huge disservice. The only way this makes sense on Sunday is if he's not the dead man persona and he's the American badass persona. It's the only way it saves that. He comes out in entirely different gear He's not wearing what he put in the ring last year, and that he takes off his gloves this year and whatever else he can take off, and leaves it in the ring again. That's it. Now he's used his two personas throughout his career. What else can he leave behind? I know what he's trying to symbolize of leaving stuff in the ring, that his career is ending. But I just think the way he went out last year, personally, I wouldn't have had him fucking lose to Roman. But you gotta get Roman over. And Vince was having a big hard-on about having Brock against Roman again. That we heard these rumors. Before WrestleMania 33, we heard that WrestleMania 34 was going to be Brock and Roman for the title, to kind of right a wrong of WrestleMania 31, where they didn't get to finish that match. They ended up having Seth, which that was one of the greatest main events ever, to have the Money in the Bank cashed in. So I don't see how that was righting a wrong. I just think it was creative storyline swerving a different way and letting Seth carry the company. And Seth was going to carry the company, but he ended up getting hurt. Seth is the guy from The Shield that is the Shawn Michaels of the Rockers. Seth is the workhorse to carry the company forward, not Roman. Roman has a role, but he's not the guy. He's not John Cena. I think Seth and Finn Balor can be the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart of this decade. It's unfortunate AJ's older, because AJ's that talented too, but AJ's going to be, in the next couple of years, is going to become more of a start jobbing out and getting younger talent over, which there's a ton. We've got plenty coming up. Just like I can't wait to see Kenny Omega show up in the WWE. Now, it's another crazy thing in professional wrestling. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, and I'm already 30 minutes into this, so I guess it's going to be extended down the ramp. Guys like Kenny Omega and other people, other wrestlers, performers, that are in that age group are in their 30s and at the peak of their careers. Late 20s, early 30s, mid-30s. That's young for wrestling. And some people are, it's old, you don't got much time. It's young for wrestling. Wrestlers can go into their 40s easily and still perform at a high level. They just got to change their skill set. Like I hope Daniel Bryan does, so he doesn't get injured again. And kind of reduce down to certain signature moves and certain moves that are low impact and stuff. So they get injured less. And they also should earn the right to not have to do tons of house shows and be on TV doing matches all the fucking time. They could be on TV, like I said for months, Brock Lesnar doesn't have to get in the ring and wrestle on Monday, but why isn't he there at least showing off the title? Here's the champion. The champion's not on TV. He's the champion, but he's not around. Could at least be on TV. That's the way you conserve these guys. They earn that status through years of hard work, whether it's in or out of the company. Vince, just because they didn't work for Vince then, doesn't mean they didn't do a lot of work to get to that point. And they're there to make Vince money now. Ricochet just debuted in NXT. Ricochet's done tons of performances in the indies, just like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan. Those guys broke their ass in the indies for a decade or more. Yeah, they didn't work for the WWE, but to get to the WWE, that's what they went through to get there. And they should still earn, and then they have status to where, hey, maybe they don't have to wrestle 300 days a year. Just saying. There's ways to do this and to do it better. Now, I hope when Fox gets a hold of WWE and they go down to 2 hours for Raw, that the Raws actually get better because they're more compact and they're not drawn out as much. This 3-hour bullshit, just garbage, because it's too much time. So, but that's it for Down the Ramp. I'm sure I can bitch and complain about more stuff and have more ideas to talk about things and go on for another half hour, but I want to do that, or it's 34 minutes in, so I'm going to go. I'm going to be doing a quick thing on the NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania 34 pay-per-views, or, on the network things that are coming on Saturday and Sunday. and talk about even probably the Hall of Fame a little bit. I'm going to probably do that tomorrow. Tomorrow, and let everybody know that what my opinions are and who I think is going to win each match and why I think it's going that direction. Give you another quick upload on that prediction, basically prediction upload, and then I will do reviews on those pay-per-views as well. I know I don't usually do NXT, but the takeovers are really good, so it would be decent for me to give that out and give my ideas and let people the dozen people that actually watch my shit get an idea on what I'm thinking. So anyway, this is your pal here, Paul. Peace.